What's up, everybody? This is Kieran Reese, otherwise known as the Obsessed Compulsive Gamer of the O.C.G, and hopefully I'm live with a surprise update. A game I really liked that I played the crap out of a year or so ago was Last Faith. It was a game that was like a 2D take on Bloodborne with Metroidvania. It was great. Uh, and they were supposed to do a DLC and updates, and there was nothing. Well, they just dropped a massive game-changing update and a free DLC today out of nowhere, so I wanted to play it. Okay, I'm live.
A new dawn is at hand. Days are diminished. Only corruption and deception remain. But one rises above all others, falsely claiming salvation. They gather disciples to take all for themselves. And those who defy this deity suffer. They become servants to pain, imprisoned in solitude, barely existing. Yet only those who have been chosen possess the gift to reclaim what has been taken by the unworthy keeper. Only they can commit to such a burden. If they are able, their pledge shall be rewarded. With salvation.
Well, get comfy, babe. Let me get my straw. Let me get my straw. No! Symbol of the deposed gods. Still trying to test. Yeah, I'm just gonna do rogue. Double checking.
And you...
Damn. Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time. I remember having the best success with the brawler.
A new dawn is at
Jeez. Trying to get the timing for the parry.
Curse-bearer, you bring a dangerous affliction before me, yet I smell fear upon your flesh. You may approach.
Who is the woman that speaks before me?
An interrogation will not serve you well. Your heart is murky and unworthy of the mercy of the Lady of the Manor, Helena.
My lady.
You speak with respect. Only now as I reveal myself to you. But your curse will always burden you. Many others like you have dwelled here in the manor. I feel a familiarity with this place, a pull I cannot explain. Many would implore me to seek freedom, but freedom is not this life's ultimate treasure. Understanding is what I seek.
As do I.
Then seek it. Return to me with your findings and experiences, cursed one. And through our understanding, you shall be bolstered yet. And pray, would you do me a kindness in turn?
What would you ask of me?
I have callings elsewhere, yet I remain. For those here with me, if you discover a teacup most blessed in your travels, deliver it to me. For a lady cannot remain in one place for so long. There are whispers throughout the manor, whispers that reveal secrets, spells. You will come to understand soon enough.
What is this place?
A wanderer. Around these parts. You truly have hardy blood coursing through your veins. Blood that I regretfully do not possess. I am Mark, and this here liquor is my courage. This liquid keeps my heart beating, the only way to heat up my sunless world. This curse has shackled me to shadow, away from my beloved Mithringal.
Mithringal. Tell me of this place.
I recall my days in Mithringal with fondness, dear wanderer. Yet it is a city that now exists merely in my dreams. The contamination smote what I held most dear. The cloud still holds the city hostage. Hence why I remain here, with no hope of forgetting. Despair and distrust has overwhelmed the people. Just like our ancestors, we squabble and doubt each other's loyalty. We've not learned from their mistakes. I know of a man. He sought to rid us of such chaos. It is seldom that one steps forward to do what is right. They call him Herman. You must seek him out before your indisposition takes you.
Tell me how to find him.
I cannot. The path is clouded. My eyes fail me. Here, I bestow this weapon upon you. What do they call you? Ah, you are branded. Eric, it will help protect your body. Your heart, I fear, may not be so fortunate. Take this key. I hope you find a use for it, for I am finished.
Mithringal.
I recall my despair.
Surely,
If I were
Mithringal.
I recall my days in despair and distrust has over.
Surely you must have some desire to leave this place.
If I were to leave, it would challenge the despicable power that controls our beloved Mithringal. A terrifying power no one dares to test, and that includes you. That is why you must find Herman. He is the man who seeks the cure for your affliction.
One second. All right.
'Tis a strange manner. Pray, tell me more.
A place of ancient splendour, home of the Oxleyvilles, now forever tainted by the ones who called it home. Through twistedness and bad omen, people sought solitude. But alas, 'tis a blessing that I cannot share. Yet, now you are here, like many before you who have been drawn to these hallowed walls.
Ooh, fuck. Hey, babe. Suga. Alright. There we go. There we go. Yeah. There. Right, well, fuck me. I can't. Okay. Alright, so I'll let you get down. I'm gonna trust you. Just stay in here and don't get into trouble. I'm watching it. Oh, that's Soka. That's, my mom's dog. My mom and dad are at the hospital right now. lot of shit going on, and I'm watching the dog basically. Yeah. My dad went to the hospital twice for severe chest pains, and uh my dad went to the hospital twice for severe chest pains. He's had a heart attack before, and uh they told him, "Oh no, you might have issues with your heart, but uh it's nothing, you know, maybe it's gonna kill you or that runs through." So they sent him home, and then so they sent him home, and he got worse and worse and worse. And then he had an appointment to go to the cardiologist. So he went to the cardiologist, and whatever they found there was so bad they admitted him to the hospital, like for, I'm assuming, a long-term stay now. So my parents left, and I was expecting him to be gone for a couple hours, and now I'm just kind of twisted in the wind, having to look after my mom's dog. Which actually, hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta. Honestly, I'm trying to keep a cool head, but it's like January 1st, I wake up, I go in there, I find my aunt nearly half dead, which I think I've mentioned. So she nearly died. So she goes a chunk of her money for rent, but she went down before she could cash her check. And then 6 days later, the 7th, so like in under a week, my dad goes down and he has heart issues. Goes to the emergency room, comes back, and then, I'm I spent like 6 or 7 hours with him at the hospital. Uh, and then he comes home, and uh, then I have to go across the city to get his medication. Uh, then I come home, and I'm dealing with everything that needs doing around the house. Yada yada yada. We're dealing with a fucking snowstorm around here. It's been super fucking cold all January. Uh, and it's just like one problem after another. Then my dad keeps getting worse, so he goes to the hospital again, and I have to help my mom go with him, so I have to lift her wheelchair up several sets of stairs and carry her all the way across because my mom is handicapped. And then, so they sent him home again, and I'm like, fucking really? And then the cardiologist appointment, and then I had to go over to my aunt and give her some stuff at the hospital yesterday. And I was fucking stuck there waiting for an Uber for an hour because this fucking guy was supposed to come and bring me back home just kept diddly-dicking, and then finally another guy came, took me home, so I was waiting forever. And then I get home, and like I said, they were supposed to go. Uh, and then, oh, hey, my mom was like, oh, no, they're admitting your dad at the hospital, and I'm staying with him. So I'm like, well, okay, that dramatically changes things. I was supposed to watch the dog for a few hours. And I want to say, okay, I don't have a problem watching the dog. I like the dog. I love her. She's a good dog. But the problem is that she is an extremely clingy dog that has almost never been away from my mother. Ever. So when my mom is not around, on the couple of occasions when my mom's not around, she has to go to the doctor. The dog does not take it well. The dog freaks out. The dog has to constantly be cuddled. The dog has issues. The dog has problems. Okay, because dachshunds are a clingy breed anyway. They tell you that they need attention. She's never been away from my mom because my mom is disabled. She stays home all day. So the whole time I'm with her, I'm fighting her, and that's fine, for a couple hours, but it's not fine when they're gone for I don't know how long. So this has literally thrown me into fucking disarray, and I'm not trying to make it about me. I'm just explaining, like, I swear to God, like every single day this month has been something, not on the scale like my dad and all that, but something. I've been doing everything around the house. I've been making my parents dinner because my dad has been so fucking weak that he didn't do that. So they test him and they're like, oh no, he actually did. They think he did have a heart attack this whole time, a second heart attack. And it's like, okay, so you would think two different fucking ERs would be able to tell that. And the fact that they took these tests and they told my dad he was fine and sent him home when after he had a fucking heart attack is wild. Any number of things could have happened. He just could have straight up died. Well, he had a stent. Anyway, he had a heart attack like 12 years ago and he had a heart stent put in then. I don't know if they're going to have to put in another one. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. But I know that these hospitals are at the very least negligent, man. Because, they're negligent, dude. He was clearly fucked up. We knew he was fucked up, because my dad's old school, he's a trooper. My dad would take pain that most people, couldn't deal with, and he would just shrug it off. So when my dad is having chest pain that's so bad that he calls 911, it's bad. It's really bad. So we all, nobody thought my dad was making it up, but they're like, oh, well, yeah, he'll be fine. And, like, it sucks because they were, like, trying to make my dad feel bad. They're like, well, this is not something that's going to kill you. It's not an emergency. Well, if he had a fucking heart attack, yeah. Yeah, it was, actually. So it's like my dad came to you like you should have, and you made him feel bad and basically tried to make it out like he was doing that. And now they're like, oh, well, actually, like, okay, sweet. So, you know, and like, if something had happened to him, would you guys be like, oh man, drat, you know? And the whole time that he could have been getting care, he was having multiple heart issues and getting worse. So that's cool. That's awesome that they would do that to him. When he went right away, yeah. And then we've been having to make do, because my aunt was supposed to pay the rent and she couldn't. So we've been having to shift funds around to keep a roof over our head. Uh, you know, it's fucked up. and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to launch into a tangent. I just one thing leads to another. I'm explaining why I have the dog, why the dog is not normally in here. And normally I see the dog every day. I usually walk the dog every day. You know, just she's not in here because and now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my cat because my cat and my mom's dog don't get along. And so normally I will have my cat in my room with me. Yeah. Yeah, the hell I love my country, but American healthcare is fucked. American healthcare is fucked. I can't defend our healthcare system where it's busted. So uh uh normally I have my cat in here, but I can't have the cat and the dog in the same room. So typically, I'll just let my cat wander around the house when the dog's here and have the dog in here with me. Now, that's not fucking feasible long term, so I'm trying to figure out what's happening because I need to look at the dog. I don't want to neglect the dog, I promised my mom would look after the dog, but I also don't want to neglect my fucking cat, who I care about a lot. You know what I mean? And that's like honestly, if you heard all the shit I've dealt with, like I could literally talk for an hour. I'm giving you the cliff notes. As fucked up as that sounds. This is the wiki notes. So I just, yeah, it's like it's 2026, man. Like this year has, yeah, that's why, because the dog had been around. So, I was trying to keep her away. And then also, she has more freedom to move around. Before, like, my aunt would be in the living room and my dad would be in the living room and she would have to, like, you know, stay away from my dad's workspace. And he would have me keep her in here because, she would hop on his desk. But he's been gone and he hasn't been working, obviously. And my aunt's been gone, so she's had room. So I've let her roam around the house more because if it's not going to hurt anybody, she's not in anybody's way. But yeah, it's a fuck situation. And we were supposed to get groceries like tomorrow so that we could eat. We get groceries delivered, and now I'm trying to figure out how the fuck we're gonna get that happening with my mom being at the hospital with my dad, so that I don't fucking starve. Because none of this was planned. And I've been trying to take care of my mom and my dad as best I could. Like I said, I've been fixing them dinner. I've been doing everything around the house, which is running me ragged. I understand, but I love my parents. Uh, or like when I went to the last when I escorted my parents to the doctor, they had to get an Uber, and I had to get my mom's wheelchair, get her in the wheelchair, and lift the wheelchair up and down stairs, put my mom in the wheelchair, escort her down, and then help my dad with the walker. So I'm basically helping carry two people to the Uber. And if you watch my shit long enough, which I know you have, I have a fucked up leg and a fucked up back. So none of this has been easy on me. I mean, I'm not as handicapped as my mother, but like I have issues of my own, is what I'm saying. So it's like I'm trying to do the best that I can to keep the house together, man. Be a good son. And dude, I'm in the limit, man. I don't know how much more of this shit I can take, honestly. It's been one disaster after another, and we've been hit by a brutal winter. Kentucky winter is either good or terrible, and it was like 7 degrees last night. So, and the last couple of days, so I've been going around town helping my parents get to the doctor while it's fucking freezing, and I'm cold as shit. And I hate the cold. I know a lot of people will say, I hate the cold. I always have. I hate winter. So it's like, oh, okay, out of all the times where this shit to be happening, it's when it's 7 degrees outside. Fucking awesome. And I'm trying not to... I live in Kentucky. Winter here is either good or bad. It varies, but we've had some pretty awful winters. This winter's been pretty bad. So, Georgia... Ah, fuck. So... I mean, it's not like we're in the Arctic, but we've had some pretty brutal winters. I remember back in, like, 2024, it got down to, like, -5 degrees. So, you know, like, I was literally trying to steer my mom's wheelchair out there, and I was skidding over ice. It was so cold out there, so, you know... One second, I'll be right back. I use the bathroom and I have to bring the dog back in here. I tried putting her in my mom's room by herself, but she just can't take it being alone. I just have to leave her in here. I'm afraid that the thing about Soka that makes me really fucking nervous is she'll just put anything in her mouth. She's the type of dog that will just try to eat anything, and I don't think there's anything in my room that's gonna hurt her, but I'm definitely afraid that if I'm not constantly watching her, she's gonna get into something, and then something's gonna happen to my mom's dog, that's gonna be on me, and I can't live with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah. I'll be right back. You're gonna have to be me. Come on, man. Come on. Yeah, pretty much. And so Soka has literally gotten sick before from eating shit she shouldn't have. Come on, Soaks. Come on. Oh, I got you. I got you. You're a good girl. I love you. You hear her whining like this? This is what she does when she's not being coddled. I know, babe. I know. This is her the entire time my mom's gone.
Something catches your eye.
Your wares are of no interest to me.
Pity. Surely you require an instrument to protect yourself. This place is an unforgiving one. My darling daughter was not so fortunate. She was taken inside that place. My heart is weighed down with my grief. Nevertheless, it is a heart that would surely be lightened with a purchase. Regret is not something you will...
What is your daughter's fate to be?
It is a heavy price, but one demanded by the church. A church with prejudice against its own congregation, sucking the hope out of us all. She is in the chains of these wretched people. I must resign myself to a fate of a hunt, an all-consuming pursuit of those who hold her. I must. Your purchase will be gratefully received, and will return a mere fraction of the warmth to my heart. So, what say you? But be quick, my time is limited, and I must relinquish my daughter from the hell she's in.
And then I had a breakup. Which I mentioned, I was really sad that my relationship with Sammy didn't work out. I had my Series X broke. I had a Series X, I was using it, which I think I mentioned that, so, and I mean, I want to be clear here. I'm not equating my console breaking with, on the same scale as my dad being fucked up. I'm just saying that it's been one thing after another the last couple of months is the point that I'm trying to make. You know what I'm saying? And I spent a couple of weeks. I set my Xbox Series X up to emulate stuff. I was able to set up dev mode, and I was playing the PS2 and all these cool games and stuff. And then it broke. Power supply just died. It wasn't due to no fault of my own. Apparently, it can happen when Xboxes are a couple years old. But I'm like, whoa, awesome. It's like I just now set this up the way I wanted it to, and then bam, breaks. Fuck. It's not new. It's gotten an update recently. This is the Last Faith. This is like a Metroidvania meets Bloodborne. was the inspiration. It was kickstarted, and it was one of the Kickstarters that came out and was actually really good. A lot of them, don't fulfill promises. This game came out, it was awesome. And they said they were going to do updates and they were going to do DLCs for this game. And this came out like 2024, and they just went dark. And then today, of all days, they decided to drop a big-ass, massive update and a free DLC for everybody. So it's like a dramatic overhaul and rebalance, and free content. And I actually played the shit out of this. I have the platinum for this on the PS4 version. So I quite like this game and played it quite a bit. Yeah, it's pretty good. And I liked it before, and, it was a little bit rough around the edges. A little bit rough around the edges. But it was a great game. It had a lot of heart and soul, and it was understandable because it was made by a team of like 5 people, and on a budget of like $100,000 is what they got from the Kickstarter. So, considering this was from a team of first-time game makers, a small team on a minuscule budget, I think this game is fantastic. And obviously, I'm a lot more forgiving of flaws in a situation like this than a AAA game. So I liked the game then, even though it had some flaws. But they patched it, they added some stuff, and then they just dropped the massive update now. And so it had been a while since I played it, and I'm like, well, I'll probably replay the PS5 version and get the trophy for that, as well as do the DLC. I could have jumped right into the DLC, but it had been years since I played this. It's a hard game. And it had been so long that I just wanted to play it again. And apparently they got more DLCs on the way, which is cool. Because on the press release for the DLC, they said that it's the first, and you wouldn't say the first DLC if there wasn't going to be more. You didn't plan more, so. Oh, yeah. I think you're talking about Code Violet. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened with that. It looked small budget, but it still looked good. And then it came out, it actually looked pretty awful. And then they were like, well, we're not going to bring this to PC because... they're like, we're not going to bring this to PC because we don't want to subject the actress that this is based on to not safe for work mods and, dirty mods. And then, what did they do? If you play the game, they have incredibly skimpy outfits. Like, okay.
Unable to spread
And the sad thing about it is that Sony is taking heat for Code Violet. They're like, oh, it's the... Yeah. Sony is taking the heat for Code Violet because I saw some people saying, oh, it's the first Sony exclusive of 2026 and it sucks. Okay, that's not really fair That's not really fair, because it's not really affiliated with Sony in any way, and it's only a console exclusive in the sense that they didn't want to make a version for another game. So, like... It's well, I'm saying it's not really fair to put that on Sony, is what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like an official exclusive that's affiliated with Sony. It was just somebody deciding to just release it for PlayStation. It's not the same thing. So, you know... Wow, just the whole thing. Well, you know... There's always going to be games like that that are fucking terrible. Unfortunately. But at the same time, I don't really... I'm trying to figure out the way to put it. I don't... You'll hear a lot of people... doomsdaying about the current state of gaming and saying that gaming is cooked, modern gaming sucks. That's... I firmly disagree. I would actually say that gaming right now is in a good state. We're, like, in the middle of a good time in gaming. Like, there's always going to be, you know, like, lesser stuff and stuff that's like, what is this? But, like, if you look at the overall picture of gaming, I think we're doing good right now. Like, there's been a lot of really good games releasing lately. 2025, man, was jam-packed. I mean, fucking, Ghost of Yotai, was fucking great. Silent Hill F is fucking phenomenal. I've been playing through that. Outstanding. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I haven't played that yet, but it looks fucking amazing, and I love the first game, so that's on my buy list. Man, I see now I'm struggling to list them, but there's so many games that came out in 2025 that were fucking awesome. The Oblivion remaster, it's more like a remake, but whatever. I love that. I got the platinum for that. Thought it was great. And the Shadow dropped out of nowhere. Fantastic. Switch 2's launch, if that matters to you. I kind of think Switch 2 sucks right now. But, you know, still came out, looks good. Death Stranding 2, which I played that and I was fucking floored by Death Stranding 2. Like, literally, one of my all-time favorite games ever. Like almost like a straight-up 10 out of 10. Death Stranding 2 fucking blew me away. And I expected good things from it because... Yeah, are you talking about Metroid Prime 4? I've seen mixed reports about Metroid Prime 4. I've seen some people liked it, some people don't. I'll reserve judgment until I played it. Because parts of it looks really, really good. Oh, well, that's... I can see that. But it looked just kind of like more Metroid Prime to me. And honestly, I love Metroid Prime so much that I'm kind of cool with that. That's kind of what I wanted. But yeah, you know, and that wouldn't be a game to buy a Switch 4 or Switch 2 for anyway, because it was very clearly made for Switch 1 and then just kind of got a port to Switch 2. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But mostly, I was really impressed. What I've seen, I was really impressed, by the world that I saw in Metroid Prime 4. That's what I love Metroid Prime 4. That's what I've always loved Metroid Prime 4 is the atmosphere of the world. They excelled at making amazing, beautiful worlds. And from everything I saw, the world in Metroid Prime 4 looks beautiful, and the atmosphere looks awesome. Yeah, sorry, I apologize. I lost my train of thought. What I was trying to say is I've looked into... fucking bugs. I'm trying to get in my fucking... Hold on a second. I've looked into it, and there's virtually no difference in the Switch 2 version other than some slightly better textures and a higher resolution. You know what I mean? It's not like it got like a port and it's like a good upgrade. It very clearly was just cross-gen. You can tell it was made for Switch. It was made with Switch 1 in mind, and then they just kind of threw in some bells and whistles on Switch 2. So yeah, that wouldn't be a game you want to buy a system for anyway. So you're pretty much getting the intended experience on Switch. And from what I saw, it runs at a pretty locked 60 FPS on the base Switch anyway, so it all in all seems just like a very well-made game, which, once again, I have to appreciate that because it's a beautiful game and it runs good. Most Switch games that push the graphics kind of run like shit, so... But, you know, Retro Studios always push graphics. But, like, Donkey Kong Bonanza, for example, that was made for Switch 2. Do you know what I mean? So, like, yeah. Sweet. And this year, like, last year was great. Last year was great. And it seems like this year's continuing to be great. Like, there's several more great games on the way this year that we know of. We don't even know the whole slate for this year, but like just in the first half of the year, we have we have the 007 First Light. That looks fucking awesome. Like they made by the guys that did Hitman, and they know just where to bring in Hitman and where to keep it Bond. Looks awesome. And not being based on a movie, you know what I'm saying? Really taking the time to make their own Bond series, I think looks fantastic. Resident Evil 9, I'm really, really pumped for. I'm a diehard Resident Evil fan, as you know, so that comes out next month. I'm really looking forward to that. We've got Marvel 1943, Rise of Hydra. That looks fucking awesome. That was delayed into this year, which I'm glad, because it was better that they would delay it than release it before it's ready. But it's, you know, World War II, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther game. The graphics looked insane. They literally had to take the camera and pan it around and show people, oh, hey, this is real time. Because they thought that people wouldn't believe them. I don't know if you've seen anything about that game, but it looks fucking awesome. And it's written by Amy Hennig, the same chick who wrote the original Uncharted trilogy. And the Legacy of Kain games, which I'm a huge fan of. And I pretty much liked everything she's ever done. So it's got, you know, good tech, good idea behind it. Yes, yeah. Wolverine game, now that you mention it. That Wolverine game looks fucking sick. I mean, I knew it was gonna be good. Because it's Insomniac. Insomniac, I don't think, has ever made a bad game. And their Spider-Man games are fucking amazing. But now that I see actual glimpses of the gameplay, it looks really good. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's 2 coming out, actually. This year, they're doing a reimagining of the first Tomb Raider. With the, you know, modern gameplay, like the most recent Tomb Raiders, called the Legacy of Atlantis. And then next year, they're doing a brand new Tomb Raider game. Tomb Raider Catalyst. So we have a reimagining of the first game this year, and then a brand new game next year. So for Tomb Raider fans, we're eating good. And especially because we haven't gotten a Tomb Raider game now since 2018. So we went a while without a Tomb Raider game, so I'm happy we're getting one, and it looks good. Like, it looks really good. And then the new Fable is supposed to come out this year. And, you know, I know a lot of people focus on how god-awful the character they showed in the game was. How awful she looked. She did look awful. But it's ultimately a non-issue. Because they pretty much confirmed that it's going to have gender options and character customization. So, like, it's weird. It's weird that the character they chose to show in all the marketing looked ugly as fuck, but in the actual game, it's not really going to matter. Shit. And that's ultimately what does matter, is the final game. And the combat, the world looks amazing. They're doing a reimagining of Halo 1 Campaign Evolved, which I'm really looking forward to because I love Halo.
Remain where you are. I do not wish to be disturbed.
My apologies. Yet I cannot help but notice your anguish.
Not anguish, but an acceptance of the truth that has evaded
Oh,
me
hey.
for so long. Tell me, what are you?
Eric,
I know whom you are, but what is your purpose here?
prayer. Yourself?
To mourn, seek refuge. Many here do. It's a place of acceptance, finality, forced upon us by the people up high to save themselves from ailment. A callous man haunts it, one who will doom us. I cannot continue my life until it is a dangerous path.
The Sea City.
A place that has those riches. I feel evil call.
So, we have that coming, and then, we have a new Gears of War game coming. E-Day, it's like a prequel. I really, really love Gears of War. I've always loved Gears of War. So I'm excited that we're getting a new Gears of War game. Yeah, it was. They brought it to PlayStation now, the first game. It's a big deal. And I guess they're gonna bring the rest of the series to PlayStation now, which is crazy to me. Microsoft has basically given up. Yeah, to be. And then I'm hoping we're going to get a couple of big Switch exclusives. You'd think that Nintendo would be putting a priority on that because it's like, this is still the first year in Switch. You know what I mean? Switch 2, so we need the real big exclusives. They've had some good Switch 2 games, but nothing like, oh shit, I gotta get a Switch 2, you know what I mean? Even like Mario Kart World, a lot of people felt was underwhelming. Yeah, a new Mario game would be great. That's what I'm hoping, like a 2D platformer. We need like a Super Mario Odyssey for Switch 2 would be fucking insane. And I think they've got one in the works. You know, they did Bowser's Fury. It's like a pack-in game for Super Mario 3D World. Full game like that, that'd be awesome because Bowser's Fury was dope. I loved it a lot. You know, so I think they're planning to do a full game like that, which would be awesome. Like this mixture of like open areas with like the additional Mario levels. Nope. That's right, yeah. Okay, I've got to go back up. I can't come in this way. So, there's, you know, but we need some kind of... Yeah, Turok would be great, too. Just give us, you know, Switch needs a big fuck you exclusive. There's a good chance we get like a new Xenoblade, which I would be crazy. That would be a game that would make me want to get a Switch too. Is Xenoblade. I love Xenoblade. And they've always pushed tech really hard. They've always made games that were incredibly beautiful on Nintendo systems, so that would be a great way to show off the power of the system. Just something, man. Like, I don't think that they've justified the price of a Switch 2 yet. For me, personally, I don't. And that's coming from somebody that it's like, I don't hate them, you know, like, or anything like that. I just, like, Switch 1 launched with fucking Breath of the Wild, man. Which I know it was like a port, but it was still a fucking incredible game to launch with. And then 6 months after, roughly, you got Super Mario Odyssey, which was a true Switch, you know, exclusive and was fucking amazing. I still think Super Mario Odyssey is one of the greatest games ever made ever. And one of the best platformers ever made ever. I think Super Mario Odyssey is fucking amazing. So it's like, you know, they came right out of the gate with, you know, Breath of the Wild, and then follow that up with Super Mario Odyssey in the same year. Meanwhile, Switch 2, like, Mario Kart World is cool, but it's still not like a system seller to me, and that was the general consensus. Is a lot of people are like, it's okay, and they were saying that Mario Kart 8 is outselling it. Still. And Donkey Kong Bonanza looks good. It does, but it's still not like... None of that hits me with the holy shit wow that some like Breath of the Wild did. You know what I mean? And they need that thunder because Nintendo has always been behind the times. Nintendo has always been behind the times. In terms of technology or whatever, in terms of a lot of things. But what they've always fucking excelled at was the games. That's what made it all worthwhile. That's why people put up with Nintendo's shit, because their exclusives were great. And Switch would not have done as well as it did if it didn't have those great games to write on. Like, I honestly think Switch wouldn't be half the success it is now if it didn't launch with Breath of the Wild. They came right out of the gate with a super fucking awesome game, like a game changer. Depending on how you feel about Breath of the Wild, but even if you don't like it, you can't understate its importance. Like, that was a game that changed gaming. It was like a big fucking deal, and having a game like that at launch was a big deal. Well, then there you go. You know what I mean? So you totally get what I'm saying. So that, you know, people at first actually jokingly, for like the first couple months of Switch, people called the Switch the Breath of the Wild machine because that was pretty much all people bought a Switch for. Was Breath of the Wild, which I understand. Switch 2 didn't come out of the gate with that kind of thunder. And then, like I said, then they cemented it. They cemented it with Super Mario Odyssey. So in 6 months, you had 2 super duper awesome fucking insane games come out. And then in December, you had Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Which also is great. I don't like it as much as Xenoblade Chronicles 1, but 2 is still a great RPG for the system. So if you, like, actually look at the lineup for Switch 2, it was good. Like, the launch lineup for Switch 2 is really, really good. And that's really important. That first time when you launch your system is fucking crucial. And Switch 2 just does not have that, and I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting to see something that would make me think, oh my god, I gotta get a Switch 2, especially because, you know, I think Switch 2 is overpriced. It's like the same price, almost exactly the same price as a fucking PS5. And a PS5 is way more powerful and has a much bigger library of games, honestly. And then, like I said, you can also play fucking Blu-ray on, you know, PS5. You can't play fucking movies on Switch. So, you know, like, Switch worked. It was underpowered, but it didn't matter that it was underpowered because it was much cheaper. It was like, hey, we're going to be $300 compared to the $500 from the competitors. So it's like, oh, okay. And we're portable. Now it's like, well, we're going to charge you the same price as PS5, but we're going to give you like we're still a generation behind. You know what I'm saying? When you're like, suddenly it becomes way less acceptable to be underpowered when you're the same price. And then like the Wii. Wii is a great example. Wii was nowhere near as powerful as PS3 and 360. It was much, much cheaper. You see what I'm saying? So they were always a lesser powered budget option, and they had a niche, and it worked well for them. Wii did well, Switch did well. Now Switch 2 is like, no, we're gonna charge you the same price as PS5 for like a quarter of the power. And then they especially took it overboard because some of their pricings have been fucking ridiculous. Oh yeah, we're gonna charge $80 for games. Yeah, okay, sure. You just skipped straight over 70 and went right to 80. Cool. And then your games, once again, you're paying more for underpowered games. That's fucking stupid. And then they increased the price. It's like $100 for a Switch Pro controller. Are you fucking kidding me? $100 for 2 Joy-Cons? Are you out of your mind? And once again, like, even the Switch 2 Pro controller is good. I've seen it looks good. I mean, I like the Pro controller I have for Switch, but it's not as good as the PS5 controller. The PS5 controller is $70. It has the touchpad, the haptic feedback, the adaptive triggers, and the built-in microphone. So Nintendo is charging way more and offering way less. That's not how you do competition.
Sir, allow me to assist you.
Stay.
This? No.
How do I...
I assure you.
I suppose...
Sweet, shortcut. Okay, we loop back around. And like I said, on top of which... they're not bringing the heat with the games. And to me, I think that the success of the Switch went to Nintendo's head. The Switch is insanely successful. It's one of the best-selling systems of all time. In fact, it's most likely this year going to overtake PS2 as the best-selling game of system of all time ever. And a lot of game manufacturers, when they make the system, they take a loss on the system so that the consumer can get it and they make the money back on the software. But because Switch was outdated and cheap, it was like a mobile Tegra set, they were making a huge profit on Switches out of the gate. So they were selling them like hotcakes, and they weren't even taking a loss like most do. Like Sony loses a little bit of money on each PS5 they sell, but they make it back in the software, and it's profitable. It works for them. It's always worked for them. Xbox, they said Xbox pretty much always takes a loss on the console. They make the money back in the games, even on 360. So, unlike them, who, we're taking a loss up front, Switch was making a killing off the games and the console. You know? And it became ridiculously successful, And then, honestly, like, Nintendo was able to just... Half the fucking Switch's library is just re-releasing Wii U games. Which, I understand why they would do that, because Wii U didn't do well. And it's like, yeah, second lease on life, but the sheer amount of, amount of Wii U ports is kind of ridiculous. And then not give us Twilight Princess or Wind Waker. Fuck you. Yeah, don't fucking port the 2 Wii U games that people wanted the most. Cool. Never get over that. But yeah, give us the GameCube Wind Waker on Switch 2 Online. That's what we wanted. Whatever. That's a different kettle of fucking fish. But, so they were able to take a lot of the Wii U's library and shamelessly port it over and make a killing off of it. The best-selling Switch game of all time is Mario Kart 8, which was a cheap and dirty fucking Wii U port. Now, later on, they added the new booster pass, and they added some new tracks for it. Okay, but the base Mario Kart 8 is literally Mario Kart 8 for Wii U. It came out for Wii U first, and they ported it to Switch, and they put it in 1080p, because it was 720. And 60, 70 million copies sold, I think? Maybe 80 million, like, a ridiculous amount for what is essentially a cheap and dirty Wii U port. It's not like, oh my god, they up-resed it and made it look so much better. It's literally, they just basically bumped the fucking res up and called it a day. In any other case, people will call them lazy, and it's sold like hotcakes. Breath of the Wild is a Wii U port, essentially. It was made with the Wii U in mind. And then at the last second, they ported it to Switch. And then they bumped up the resolution to 900p. Because it was more demanding than Mario Kart, so they didn't give it the full 1080p that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did. You know what I mean? So, and that's it. It was made for Wii U, and I understand why they launched with it. But, so, 2 of their most successful games of all time ever are just fucking cheap ports that they did. You know what I mean? Like, and the games were great. There's a reason why they sold good. Mario Kart 8 is a great game. Breath of the Wild's a great game. But what I'm saying is, they had already made it for Wii U, and they were able to port both of those games over to Switch with minimal effort. And with Switch, all the Switch version of Breath of the Wild did, once again, was increase the res to 900p. They didn't give you better textures. You didn't get better draw distance. You know what I mean? It's not even what you call a remaster for Switch. And Breath of the Wild, 30, 40 million copies. So, you know, and then a shit ton of the games were just ports from other systems. You know, people wanted to play their Switch, their PS4 games, Xbox One games on the go. Although I could never get behind that, because usually the Switch ports were awful. Like, I remember they brought Doom over, 2016 Doom, and it was lower than the lowest setting on PC and ran at like 30 FPS when that game was made for 60. You know what I mean? So it's like, I would only ever play my Switch for exclusives. Because otherwise it'd be like, why would I get this on Switch when I can get a much better running version of the game on any other platform? But for some reason, a lot of people like the portable games. So a shit ton of the Switch library was just cheap Switch ports that other companies did for them. So, like, when you actually look at the Switch, they put in minimal effort and made a shit ton of money, which is fine. They cornered the market. There was no portable option. There was no handhelds. Even Nintendo had stopped making handhelds. Microsoft and Sony Sony was no longer making handhelds. They gave up after Vita. Microsoft never was making any, and they gave up a budget-friendly option. They were smart. They made their own market space, and that was cool. But then it was so successful that I think it went to their head. And they suddenly thought, well, we can do whatever we want to. And that's what it feels like they're doing with Switch 2. That now they think they can just coast and just do whatever they want because of Switch. And I think they're in for a rude awakening. The first sales for Switch have been good. Uh, but I don't think that's going to last. And there's already signs of wear and tear, because whereas the third-party sales for Switch were really good, like I said, they're really, really good. They have shown that third-party games for Switch 2, the sales are fucking abysmal. That like 80 to 90% of the games being sold for Switch 2 are the exclusives. And don't get me wrong, those exclusives will go a long way. But third-party lineup is really important. After all, Nintendo can only make so many games in 1 year, so your third-party lineup is a major success. Part of your success. You know, and all the other ones, the third-party games are important. Sony has great exclusives, but do you think they just coast off their exclusives alone? No. They have a shit ton of third-party games coming in. So, and that was a shit ton of the revenue for Switch, was all those third-party ports. So if those games are selling abysmally, that could be a problem. And, you know, there was hype over the Switch and all that, and they rode the wave. I don't think that hype is going to last. And then Nintendo was saying, we're watching the tariffs very closely, implying they might raise the price. Like, dude, you're already way overpriced, and now you're hinting you might raise the prices further. What the fuck are you doing? And remember, just like Switch 1, Switch 2 is made with very cheap parts. So I guarantee you, they're making profit hand over fist. And honestly, even if the tariffs made it more expensive, they would still probably be making money. Sheer greed. And I just think they lost the plot. And like I said, they don't have the huge exclusives that Switch 1 did. And it's really sad. Because I feel like Nintendo is just kind of fucking it up. Like, they had the easiest fucking win. Just keep doing Switch. That's literally all they needed to do. Because they still had virtually no opposition in the portable space from the competition. Like, yeah, the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck is great, but the Steam Deck is not on Switch's level in terms of competition. It's more of a niche thing. I'm talking about, like, competition from Microsoft and Sony, which there's not there. And the budget option is still friendly. So it's like, if they just kept doing what Switch did, it would have been a huge success. And instead, they're, like, dramatically raising the prices. They're implementing all these policies. They're making a lot of game cards that are just digital things, where a lot of the games don't even have a fucking game cartridge. And, like, they're ruining, literally, their entire strategy. They were supposed to be the family-friendly, budget-friendly alternative. But when you're almost the same price as your competition, then you being underpowered suddenly is not cool, and I just think they're fucking it up. And honestly, the rising cost of games needs to fucking chill. We need to stay at 70 for a while. And I'm not just saying that because obviously it's in my best interest because I don't need gaming prices to go up. I'm saying that because there's this delusion that they need to keep up with the rising cost of game development. And the truth of the matter is, that is a fucking load of hogwash. That it's a bullshit. Okay? Because, and you know, allow me to go on a little bit of a rant here. Number one, games are not like a fucking knife or a piece of simple product where they need to make the price and sell it and get the price back. Games are meant to be mass consumed. Okay? So, with a car, they make the car for a certain amount, you buy the car, they made the money for making the car back in a profit, which is fine, you need to make a profit, okay? Games don't work like that. Games are made, AAA games are made for hundreds of millions of dollars. And in order to recoup that cost, they need to be consumer friendly. The most people who can buy them need to be able to buy them. Okay? So if we're really going for, well, they need to keep up with the rising cost, then every game would be $100 million. That's not how it is. It's about getting it into as many hands as possible. So in all truthfulness, you could never ever catch up to the inflation anyway. But besides that, there's going to be some rising costs because, inflation is a bitch and they do have to keep up a little bit. So, raising the price after 10 years to 70, okay. But at the same time, it's also proof that, they're trying to say that, it's a losing battle. And I see a bunch of these articles saying, games are getting more expensive and they just can't keep up. Okay, then why is this console generation been so ridiculously lucrative? Sony has literally said that PS5 has been their most successful, highest grossing generation ever. By far. And it's not over yet. Okay? They've already greatly outgrossed PS4 that was around a lot longer. And yes, the PS5 is $100 more expensive. That's not going to explain that deficit, okay? So they're trying to say that, well, the prices just keep going up and up to make games, and we just can't keep up, and, we got to raise the prices. Okay, so if you were barely struggling to get by, and you had to keep raising the prices, why is this your most successful fucking generation ever? Clearly, it is working, or it wouldn't be. It would be one thing if it was like, well, this game is successful. Sony has said this console as a whole is their most successful generation ever. So, either they just can't keep up and they're not making a profit and need to raise the prices, or they're doing really well. You can't have it both ways. You can't. And what they don't see is that they see it as the money they could be making. Well, if we raise the price to $80 a game, that could be another millions of dollars. Yeah, well, what about all the copies that aren't going to be sold because a family looks at that, a budget family looks at that and says, I'm not going to do it, and the difference between 70 and 80 is a sale. Do you see? They're not seeing the money they're missing by doing that. And like I said, games, honestly, in terms of sheer revenue, in terms of playability, have literally never been more profitable than they are now. They have never been more profitable than they are now. And, so the system is more profitable, the games are more profitable, so them trying to say, well, they gotta cover the costs, it's fucking bullshit. It is bullshit done by either fanboys who will justify any piece of slop that they're handed, or honestly game journalists that are pretty much fucking paid shills. And never mind the fact that, you see IGN making these articles about the rising cost of gaming. Raw. Okay? You see him talking about the rising cost of gaming. Bear in mind, the people that are talking about this, like IGN, get their games for free. They're handed fucking review copies. By Nintendo, by Sony, by Microsoft, remember? Okay? So it's really easy to comment on the state of pricing for games when you're not actually buying any of them. Sorry, 1 second. You okay? 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm going to take a short break.